It's another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Robin Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obi Uchendu. Thanks a lot for joining us on the show today. The week ahead is going to be an interesting one for politics and governance in particular, because the present administration will be marking their second year in office on the 29th of May. There's a lot that's been done in the past week, whether it's symposiums or lectures or interviews being done by the government and people that represent it, sort of to blow its horn, blow its trumpet or toot its horn about the achievements that have happened in the last 2 years. A lot of Nigerians obviously have a lot of questions about, the achievements compared to the promises that were made at the start of this administration in 2023. The economy in particular has been on the top of mind for a lot of people, because those are some of the first things that Mr. President sort of touched on as soon as he came into office, whether it was the fuel subsidy or the Naira. That was sort of so much happened in that space. And we're going to be starting our conversation today looking at the half term of President Tinubu's presidency and maybe what to expect in the coming years, even if we know that in Nigeria, most times by the third year mark, politicking takes over and Nigerians are wondering what that means in the year plus ahead. I'm joined now by the Executive Director of Connect Hub NG, Rinu Oduola, virtually. Rinu, how are you doing? Can you hear me? I think you're muted. Can you?
Hi, Ebuka. Good afternoon. I'm doing well,
Good
and good
afternoon.
afternoon,
Good to see
Nigerians.
you. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, I just wanted to start off with this because Mr. President, like I said, it's his second year in office. That would be, I think, on Thursday. And a lot has been said about, his last 2 years, things that have been achieved or not. But I just wanted to read out a few things to you, because Daniel Bwala, who is a special advisor to Mr. President, did give us 8 ways that President Tinubu has transformed Nigeria's economy in just 2 years. I just want to give you a few of them. He said there's been a drastic increase in domestic crude refining capacity. I guess, of course, that's attributed to the Dangote refinery. He says stabilization in the cost of living. I don't know if Nigerians will agree with that, but I mean, we did hear news in the last week or two about inflation coming down. There's talk about Nigeria becoming a favorite destination for foreign investors because our Naira is supposedly now stable. Of course, removal of fuel subsidy, amongst other things. A lot of this might be questioned by Nigerians and what they feel, but this is what the government is saying. And it's hard to argue whether policy is right or wrong as compared to what the effects might be. What are your thoughts?
I think that to start off, thank you for reading the 8 promises or 8 things that presidential aide said they did. I think that first, that many Nigerians are very disconnected from the conversations that are happening on top. And this administration is not connecting or communicating effectively with the people. They are speaking in echo chambers and they are communicating with themselves. I think that for the Tinubu administration, a lot of things is about performance, is about press statements, flashy headlines, social media posts. There's no real engagement, no real accountability. You are tweeting economic figures to Nigerians while we are crying in queues. You can't be effective when you only talk to yourself. You can't claim to lead when you don't listen. And if you can't listen to ordinary Nigerians, then you don't deserve. A lot of people that we have in offices today don't deserve the title public servant. There's clearly a disconnect between the actions. Just like he said, the average Nigerian will wonder, what's this person talking about? Who is Daniel Bwala in the first place? And how does he reel out these figures without understanding what the ground is saying, what the needs and concerns of the people are saying? If your policies and your figures are only understandable to economists and billionaires, then you're not leading anybody. You're not leading Nigerians. You're merely hiding. You're telling Nigerians to endure suffering and listening to figures while those in powers are cashing out. You're not feeling the weight of over 200 million voices that are growing hungrier, that are going hungrier, that are growing louder. And I promise you, if governance continue to remain disconnected with figures, then Nigerians are not going to forget and history will not be kind. Thank you.
In October of 2022, Mr. President released a manifesto. This was pre-election. And, a lot of Nigerians scrutinized it at the time, and I just wanted to read out some of the things that he promised: to build a better Nigeria, especially for young people, where sufficient jobs with decent wages would create a better life. He promised to, revive manufacturing and create and invest more in the goods and services sector, to export more and import less, to strengthen our exports, basically. Modernize and expand public infrastructure, embolden and support young people and women in particular, train and give economic opportunities to the poorest of the poor, generate, transmit, distribute sufficient, affordable electricity. I think when you see all of this, the one thing that maybe Nigerians might agree with that might be the infrastructure bit. But then, even with that, all you hear is the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road and all of these other things, infrastructure-wise. But I mean, reading this manifesto, I don't know, do you feel like these have been met, creating jobs for young people, manufacturing revived, exporting more, affordable electricity and sufficient electricity?
I think that this is very also related to the first thing that you said. If governance is about what you promise, I think that I can also wake up one day and say that I want to establish my own country. Governance is about performance. Governance is about people. Governance is about lived reality, survival, dignity. And so clearly, Nigerians who are even listening to this can see that that is out of touch. There's no government achievement that we can promise or point to today that has been fully operational for local relief. There's nothing that this government can say that they claim credit for that has stabilized the cost of living for Nigerians. Nigerians are keeping meal, a bag of rice is not even your minimum wage cannot buy a bag of rice. Parents are pulling out of school. So we can talk all and all about projects, but where's the stability? Where's the stability for Nigerians? How is it measuring in the lives of Nigerians? And then we talk about these manifestos, for example. If manifestos again could build nations, then Nigeria would be heaven by now. We have beautiful manifestos. That document that you just read was just a political brochure. It's not a governance blueprint. And 2 years later, almost everything in it has collapsed under the weight of its own hypocrisy. Just for young people, where unemployment is rising, not shrinking. At some point in time, they had to even readapt their definition of unemployment. So even those with jobs cannot survive on the wages they are being paid. Young people are not building careers. What we are building right now are coping mechanisms just to survive. We're not exporting talents everywhere. Well, the only thing we're exporting right now, even to the West, is trauma. And the so-called manufacturing revival. Please show me the factories. What we are seeing instead, the headline says are local and international producers who are shutting down because of forest instability, because of unbearable energy costs, because of zero incentives. Electricity. Nigerians are on band A, band B, band Z, and we are still in darkness. Power bills have quadrupled for services that have remained epileptic. Even the deputy governor of Lagos State had to come out and complain about his own power bills. You cannot tell someone who has just spent 80,000 naira on fuel, and this is just the average, and a generator, the electricity has improved. That's gaslighting. Yes, even the Lagos Calabar road, we can see it's clearly a big deal. But where has it reached today? We learned that they recently completed it, but was that the promise that was initially made? What about the livelihoods that were affected? Who is it really serving? Is it the millions of Nigerians who are stuck in slums with no drainage, with no access road, with no clinics? Infrastructures cannot be about bridges and highways in 2025. It's about access. It's about inclusion. It's about the ability to move through our own country with dignity. Nigerians are still dying on badly built roads, every day due to accidents. So all this administration does is to make announcements and not deliver results. They can build all headlines and all they want, but they're not building livelihoods. We can recite manifestos all we want, but Nigerians are out here every day manifesting suffering every day. So no, those promises have not been met. They've been abandoned, and that's the only thing that is consistent in this government for me. They consistently abandon the people who trust them. Thank you.
Is there any argument, though, to the fact that, what they met on ground was really, really poor? A lot of people in government might not want to openly attack the former President Buhari, but they've always insinuated that, things were terrible when they got in. And drastic measures needed to be taken, whether it's with the removal of fuel subsidy, whether it's with the Naira. I mean, Mr. President on Thursday, I think, almost openly criticized President Buhari, talking about, the exchange rate arbitrage that was going on under that government and how it was blatant corruption. Is there an argument for them presently about, what they met and how hard it is to pull Nigeria back out from, where we were?
Thank you so much for this question. You see, Nigeria was broken by the former administration of Buhari, but what this current continuity administration did was to shatter us into pieces. Yes, we were already battling inflation, we were already battling insecurity, but now we are even fighting just to eat and survive. There are no reforms, no removal, no restructuring. All we have is repackaged hardship. Nigerians are poorer today, even coming from President Buhari's unfortunate administration. Whoever dreamt that in 2025, the Naira will be approaching 2,000 Naira to a dollar. And the current administration, the President Tinubu, has not even bothered to visit the poorest Nigerians who are suffering most from his policy. So all I see is gaslighting. All I see is trying to shift blames, just like the administration have said. Tinubu came in campaigning that it will continue Buhari's legacy. So I didn't know what Nigerians expected in the first place. Economic promises are a mirage. As a Nigerian, do you feel secure today, more secure today than in 2023 or 2022 when Buhari was in power? Our people are being kidnapped like chickens all over the country. WAHEC students were recently kidnapped in River State, and terrorists are demanding for 100 billion, 100 million naira. Our soldiers are dying at the hands of terrorists. Farmers are being slaughtered in the Middle East, yet the government is coming to shift blames all about it. Is it not the same APC government that we have in place? Security has not improved one bit. That's even collapsed. Borno State is almost taken over by terrorists. Even the so-called digital economic for youth. It's cosmetic. Young people are jobless, just like we said. Our state institutions, educational institutions like JAM are cracking under pressure. We are losing lives every day to the pure incompetence of this administration. Nigerians are dying like a people without government. And instead of renewed hope, all we have is renewed pain and suffering. The only thing this administration has managed to renew, let me tell you, Ebuka, is their campaign structure for 2027, not the likes of the Nigerian people. They've managed to renew appointment for friends, contract for cronies, and silence when it comes to accountability. And with campaigning, instead of focusing on what they exactly promised us in 2022 and 2023 when we were coming to power, almost all state parastatals, if you go to Abuja right now, are calling to a halt. All they are focusing on is how they want to get back into power. So tell me, why are we still shifting blames when it's still the same APC power that is in power? Tinubu government people are forcing people to suffer more and are calling it reforms. And we're saying, oh, the economy was bad in the first place. The other governments, sabotage Nigeria. So what exactly are you doing right now? How do you expect us to give you any blame of the doubt when it's still the same APC power? And this is a question for Nigerians in any case, because when Tinubu was coming, he said that Buhari did well and is going to do exceedingly well as well. And now today we're asking ourselves the question, so what? Thank you.
I know I hear you with the APC argument, but it's baffling for a lot of Nigerians to see this fear of a slow shift to a one-party state. Yes, you are talking about what the APC has been in government now for 10 years plus, or at least going on 10 years. Um, you would expect an opposition that would want to come back into power, at least of all opposition parties. But what we're seeing now is a move by a lot of politicians and people from opposition parties, sort of defecting to join the APC. Even those who are not defecting are openly declaring support for Mr. President, like we saw with the Anambra State governor. So that almost sort of begs the question. I mean, there must be something right about the party, or is this just the hunger, the pull to be a part of, the center and where the milk and honey is flowing from?
Thank you very much. And this is another very important question for Nigeria as we are in the face of our democracy today, to see that our country, our so-called democracy since 1999, is moving towards a one-party state. Let's not pretend what we are seeing and witnessing in the headlines and today is not administration or admiration rather for the APC. It is desperation for power and protection. Politicians and the ones who are defecting here and there are not joining the ruling party because it is working. They are joining APC because it's surviving. And in Nigeria, survival in politics often mean access to state funds, immunity from prosecution, and a front row seat at the corruption table. You see this mass defection, as we're seeing. It's not about any ideology. It's about self-preservation. APC has not delivered governance. So what it has delivered to Nigerians and to the political class is a clear message that if you want to stay relevant, if you want to stay protected, if you want to stay funded, come to the center. And that center has now become a vortex that is even pulling the loudest critics into silence and submission. We are moving dangerously towards a one-party state, not because Nigerians believe in the APC, but because our current political class lacks spine. They have no ideological loyalty, they have no policy depth, they have no long-term vision. All they want to just be is to be near the pot of soup. And that's why political parties are crumbling. It's not because APC is strong, it's because Nigerian democracy is weak. This is not an healthy democracy, or this is not a healthy democracy. A healthy democracy has vibrant opposition, it has dissent, it has alternative plans. What we have is a political cartel that is rotating chairs around the same table. When the Anambra governor openly praises the president while his people are suffering from the same policies, it's not statesmanship, it's submission, it's betrayal. So the defections are not proving that APC is doing something right. They are proving that our politics is broken and that our leaders, the people we are voting into power to improve our life, to improve our lives and to improve our nation, they are more loyal to survival rather than being loyal to public service.
So
Thank
what
you.
then gives, though? Because, I mean, even the best government in the world needs to have some opposition, behind it, because it makes you even better, even if you are the greatest. So opposition is a healthy part of a democracy. What then gives in a situation like this, whether it's with the politicians or with the Nigerian people even? Because people seem sort of defeated, I don't know if that's a good word to use, by this entire thing. We just seem to be watching and, we're just like, you know what, let's go on about our day and let these guys do what they're doing. What then gives? We still have 2 years of this present government before they might get a second term.
Thank you, Ibuka. And it's important that we ask ourselves what gives. I saw that in relation to this story that we're talking about was that the former governor in Kano State said that, there's nothing wrong with a one-party state. Even China has a one-party state. And, thank God for the opposition of Nigerians. We're people who are probably one of the most intelligent people in the entire world who came out and said, yes, let's talk about China. China executes politicians when they are caught in bribery or fraud schemes. So what about you? You were caught in a bribery scheme the other day. Why have you not been executed if we want to imitate China to start? So what gives? What gives is exhaustion. Nigerians are not silent because everything is okay. We're silent because we're tired, just like you said. We're tired of protesting. We're tired of watching nothing change. We're tired of speaking while we are being called enemies of progress. We are tired of being told to calm down when our lives are falling apart. We are tired of being forced, the flames of ethnic tensions being flamed while, politicians are stealing our taxes and our money. What we are seeing is not apathy, it's survival mode. People are busy looking for food. People are busy looking for school fees and rent and hospital bills, and let's not lie, that's even also a systematic campaign to kill civic spirit, and SARS was a turning point. People spoke up. What did they get? They got arrested, they got frozen account, they got propaganda, they got bullets. We've seen, especially young people these days who are supposed to be the carrying voices of this vibrant democracy. We've seen what happened to voices when they refuse to bend. And since then, the state has been shrinking civic spaces, intimidating critics and buying all voices. It's not that the fire is gone. It's that the state has systematically poured water on it and then jailed, the matchbox. As for the opposition, most of them are not opposition. We all know the truth. They are just politicians who are waiting for the next meal or waiting for the next deal. They're not building coalitions. What they are building as bridges to the next appointment. We've seen them today. Some of them who criticized this current administration have now been made presidential aide. Why? Because they were building bridges to the next appointment. They feel through opposition voices, activists, journalists, people like you, organizers, are fighting with no institutional power. We are fighting with no state backing and often at great personal risks. So yes, we have 2 years left. And that doesn't mean that we sit and wait. It means that we organize. It means that we build community power. Nigerians have seen the truth right now. They said that we will get renewed hope, for example, and again, just like I said, all we've gotten is recycled appointment. For the average Nigerian right now, if you tell them renew hope, that phrase is like an insult, because our hope has not been renewed, it's been shattered. Nothing about this government has restored hope. And so that's what we have to build. We have to amplify the truth. We have to hold everyone, including the opposition, accountable, because silence is not neutrality, just like people say. Silence is complicity. And if we don't resist the slow death of the facade of a democracy that we have now, there may be nothing left to save in 2027.
So
Thank
just
you.
before we go now, I just want to end on two notes. First of all, I mean, something I know you're very passionate about with the NSAS protest and, of course, police brutality. We did hear very terrible news, I think it was on Tuesday, about a 14-year-old boy, Kehinde Alade, who was shot dead in Oyo State after a police chase. And as usual, it was termed accidental or whatever the case may be. But it still brings back this constant conversation that Nigerians were very, very heated about in 2020, about the relationships between the police and its citizens and the brutality question. And then, of course, just to end things up, Mr. President also during the week did say that he will take Nigerians to the promised land. What does that promised land look like for you in 2 years?
Thank you. And thank you for mentioning the NSAS as well. You see, since it's been 5 years now, and I don't think that nothing has changed when it comes to police reform. After NSAS, the government, made noise and set up panels and all swept it all under the carpet. They banned SARS on paper, but promoted the same officers behind the scene. And in 2025, young Nigerians are still being profiled, they're still being locked up, they're still being harassed, they're still being killed. The WAEC candidate who was murdered in Ibadan, and the state government came out and said, it's because his father drove against traffic. That's why the boy died. Please, Nigerians, let's ask ourselves, is that a penalty for a traffic offense? In which country today do the police shoot into a car of unarmed civilians because of one way? The driver was unharmed. He had children in the car, yet he was still shot at. That boy was a future president of this country. He had dreams, he was writing exams, and they ended his life. And the state government came out to defend his killing. Shame. Shame on the state. Shame on all of us if we normalize this madness. Because tomorrow is going to be me. Tomorrow is going to be your child. That is not law enforcement in any case. It is murder. And as a people, we should ask ourselves, why are our taxes not being used to buy tracking device that will catch traffic offenders instead of police doing the work of chasing people? Is that not a kike in 2025? And it's not new, Ebuka. You see, Tina Ezekwe was also a young girl who was killed in 2020 in Lagos by a trigger-happy police officer. The same officer shot into a bus full of passengers, and he hit Tina. Bolanle Rahim, who was shot in front of her family on Christmas Day, she was pregnant with twins. Are you going to say that she passed one way too? The name have been piling up since NSAS, and nothing is changing. And you cannot train brutality out of a system that is designed to brutalize. You see, the Nigerian police force is not broken. It was built broken. And we can talk about all that later, but they don't also answer to Nigerians. They answer to the powerful, which is why we should stop calling it the Nigerian police force and start calling it what it is. It is the Nigerian elite force. Every officer who harasses, who shoots randomly, they know that they will likely get away with it. And so we need a complete reset of what policing means in this country, in a democracy. Until officers know they can lose their jobs, their pensions, their freedom for killing a citizen, nothing will change. We'll just keep dying and giving it one name or the other. Because what drives it is power without accountability. There's no consequence for abuse in this country. Nigerian police officers know they can beat you, they can violate you, they can extort you, and nothing will happen. No consequences. And again, what is missing, and which is connected to your last question, is the zero political will to protect the rights of Nigerians. The people who can fix this, they won't. The governors are silent. The Police Service Commission is toothless. The Ministry of Police Affairs is missing in action. We don't have zero tolerance for abuse. What we have is zero will to stop it. And civil society cannot reform the institutions that they don't control. We don't need reforms or reform committee. All we need is action. The governors must speak out, the judiciary must act, and the presidency must lead. The burden is on the state. And if the state refuses to act, we become complicit in the violence. And for the president,
Right.
after 2 years, I think that the outcome that we have seen in the President Buhari's administration today. If I was asked,
Okay.
to give them a score, for example, I would give them an F9 with no sentiments. They wouldn't even get a makeup test. They wouldn't get a
All right.
receipt,
Thank you.
because leadership is not about trying; it's about actions. And what we've seen today is more hunger, more insecurity, more silence. 2 years is enough time to show vision, to show compassion and courage. And this government has failed on every front. This is
Okay.
not failure due to lack of time. It
All
is
right.
failure due to design, and Nigerians will not forget. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vinudu. Always good to hear from you. Wish Nigerians the best in the years ahead. I'm sure we'll be getting a lot of fanfare in this week with the government highlighting their achievements, but we'll just hope that they remember the Nigerians matter at the end of all of this. Thanks a lot for joining us. We'll take a break now. We'll be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Now, today is an interesting celebration, but I don't know that a lot of Nigerians pay attention to it. And I think it's one that should actually be public holiday continent-wide. It's Africa Day. May 25th is the day we celebrate Africa Day. Nigerians don't seem to appreciate why that is important, and we're going to be talking about that today. I'm joined here by the CEO of Tribal Tapestry, John James Olomo. Thanks a lot for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
How do you celebrate a day like this? I can see you looking very...
Yes. Well, today, this is a very important holiday, right?
Yeah.
Because a holiday like today represents African unity. And so it's very important. As CEO of Tribal Tapestry, we help African Americans and others in the diaspora connect to the continent. We identify their tribes using their DNA. Okay. And so we are all about global African unity.
We hear an accent there, so I just wanted to get a bit of a backstory about what you do and what our Tribal Tapestry means and why a day like this matters to Tribal Tapestry.
So my accent does carry some backstory. For me, I was born as an African American, and it took me about 7 years to trace my roots to the Yoruba tribe of southwestern Nigeria. I found my way.
Born and raised African American.
Yes. Then I found my way here. In Shasha Kingdom in Alimosho here in Lagos.
Oh, wow.
And from there, I started initiating through rites of passage, different spiritual systems, and then eventually titled Prince of Shasha Kingdom in Alimosho, and then given the responsibility to help bring other diaspora back home.
Why was it important for you to find this out?
Identity is power. And it's very important because you can't fully step into your power if you don't know who you are. Your DNA carries the story of your ancestors and the power that lies in your veins and in your blood. And so once you determine who you are and where you come from, you start manifesting your life at higher levels of awareness.
Yeah. Interesting. What's the response been, though, for you now, since you came back? I mean, you said it was 7 years ago?
It took me 7 years.
It took you 7 years.
Yes.
When did you get? When did you finally come?
About 3 years ago.
About 3 years ago.
Yes.
Was it your first time here?
Yes.
And what did it feel like? What was the reception? And do you visit often now? Are you leaving here? What's the dynamic like?
My time is split almost evenly between the States and here in Nigeria. My first visit, my God, it was amazing. I got to sit in Shasha and witnessed the Isheshe festival, and it blew me away. I was sitting there watching this festival, and it looked like you could feel infinity, because as Africans, we have done these things for just thousands and thousands of years. I could feel that watching that, and I'm back about every 3 months. I'm here in Nigeria.
Yeah, nice. I mean, we know where Africans, wherever they are in the world, come from on this continent. And you find pockets of, sort of links with some communities in Brazil, for example, the Cubans as well. Yes. They still sort of have certain festivals or celebrations, smaller communities maybe in the United States as well. But generally, you don't, outside of these places, it's not the norm to have that happen. But you are doing things differently. How do you think that will translate, to people who don't care, don't see why I should bother, why should I connect? This is all I know, so I'm just going to exist in this space.
Well, some people on the continent, already know where they come from. In the U.S., it's a lot different.
Yeah.
The struggles that people are going through in the U.S. are make them want to determine where they come from. It makes them want to know what food do we eat? What is the language that we speak? How do we dance and our tribes of descent and things like that. Even on social media these days, you see white people in the U.S. having African-themed weddings, and that speaks to the gentle power of African culture.
Yeah. Do you find that because I tend to see this on social media a lot. This unnecessary battles between Africans and African Americans.
Yes.
You know, it gets more intense almost every day. You know, there's this foundational. I don't want to. I don't know what the full term is.
Yeah.
Foundational descendants of American slaves or whatever it is. You know, so there's always this war. You know, the belief that well, you sold us out, and well, and Africans are saying, well, you need to come back and let's reconnect. So that divide still seems very deep.
Sure.
But you have sort of crossed that divide.
Yes.
How does that become more mainstream? Because it looks like a very hard battle to sort of surmount. In a world now where you're either or, whether it's with politics or with religion or with gender, there's almost no middle ground anymore. So how do you find that?
Yeah, how do we find the middle ground? You know, I think part of it is that the struggle, the fight is an illusion. For example, Tribal Tapestry, we bring people here on tours. Once they find out their DNA, they're hopping on a plane, they're coming to Nigeria, and we just had a group leave yesterday, okay? Every day they said, you know, we were told Africans didn't like us. And every moment that we've been here, we feel welcomed. We feel like we are home. So there's an illusion that we need to break down and realize the divide is not as strong as social media might make it seem. And we need to highlight more of those stories. I mean, if you could have seen these people that were here, they were in tears twice a day, just hearing drums. Just to sit and hear the drum, something that in Nigeria we might take for granted. Right? But to be able to sit and hear that, it just opens up a part of the soul, and healing starts to take place internally. You know, so I think conversation is a cure for that divide.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on this Tribal Tapestry thing again, because you founded this. You said it's about a year old now.
Yes.
And what you do is you find people in the diaspora, you trace their roots to their tribe.
Yes.
Which I think is very unique, because you find people who find their country or their region.
Yes.
But I don't know that it's very easy to find your tribe.
Correct.
How do you have an estimate of a number of people who've done this, who've come back to their roots?
Yes. So we're able to connect people to their tribe because our database of tribes is very vast. We can study about 745,000 genetic markers in the body. And so we're a newer company, but the interest in something like this from the US is very, very big. The timing is great right now with someone like Donald Trump in office. He makes people want to leave. You see, he makes people want to reconnect with where they come from.
Yeah.
And so we have more and more people who are desirous to return to the continent.
Yeah. Let's talk about the culture.
Sure.
And I mean, you're dressed this way, like I said, you know, and you've immersed yourself, I want to believe, in this last 3 years. What are some things that have changed for you? Whether it's perception, whether it's your beliefs.
Sure.
You know, some people come over and realize, oh, colonialism did a number on us.
Yes.
And there was actually nothing wrong with things we worshipped or things we believed in.
Yes.
At the time. What has changed for you?
Oh my God! You just said 4 or 5 things that I could just go on and on about.
Yeah.
This even goes back to what you said earlier about the divide.
Yeah.
You know, African Americans don't know enough about colonialism, and Africans don't know enough about the transatlantic slave trade.
True.
And that exchange of information would do us a world of good. What has changed for me is everything, you know, absolutely everything. I'll give you an example. You know, when you awaken to what you are and where you come from, you start to walk and carry yourself differently. So one day I was in the US and I was going to an event in an area where it's kind of a redneck, kind of racist area, right? So a guy comes out of this casino and he's wearing his American traditional attire. He's got on a hat with a Confederate flag, which means he still stands for slavery, right? He's got on the overalls, the tattoos, and I'm walking towards the casino door, and he comes out and he just stops, and he's just watching me. And I see him in my peripheral, but I keep going, and he starts backing up as I'm approaching the door. And I didn't know what the guy was gonna do, because he looked really racist, right? He opens the door, and he kind of bows a little bit, and I walk in. I had on a white fila, agbada, the full 9. And that day I said, oh, I might be wearing too much. I'm in Nevada. You know, I'm going to a casino. You know, this might be, but that speaks to the power of standing inside of your own worry
Yes.
and just going ahead and doing it.
Awesome stuff. Can I find my cousins in America?
You can, you know, you can, you can. We're actually, one of the reasons I'm here this week is next week I'm speaking at University of Ibadan,
Okay.
OAU the next week, and we're going to be DNA testing a lot of the young people and creating forward-facing profiles for them. This is new for us. And when we do this, we're building what we call the $1 trillion tree, which is a global African family tree, so that Africans born here can connect to their living distant relatives in the U.S.
Awesome stuff. Looking forward to it. Thank you very much for your due. And
Thank you.
welcome to Nigeria.
Thank you
I
so
mean,
much.
you've been here long enough, but I mean, it's good to know that you're one of us.
Thank
and
you.
please keep spreading the gospel. I think it's very important because a lot of us take these things for granted or don't
Right.
take it seriously enough. And I think it's about time. And again, happy Africa Day.
Thank you so much. Happy Africa Day.
We're going to take another break and be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Joining us in the studio now for an entertainment conversation is one of my favorites in the industry. I guess it's right to call him a child star who's transformed into so many things. He's an actor, a politician. Olumide Oworu is here with us. Welcome.
You. Thank you for having me.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Do you hate that do you hate that child star term?
I
Because
don't.
sometimes
I
there are
embrace
people
it,
who
though.
find it like, when you grow up as a child star, you find that in Hollywood a lot.
Right.
People want to keep you there.
Right.
So when you start doing more risque things, they're like, Olumide don't spoil. Do you get that or
I
you
do
don't
get
care?
that. I do get that.
Yeah.
I remember one time somebody saw me in the club and was like, you're in the club?
You don't
How
grow
do you
rich.
know?
They still think
Does
you're
Lucky
that.
know you're here? I'm like, bro. So yeah, but I embrace it.
Yeah.
I'm also very thankful for the opportunity because not that many people can say that.
Does it affect the kind of roles you want to take? Because I think, I can't remember whose interview it was I saw in Hollywood at the time, who said they now started consciously taking certain roles.
Right.
For people to almost force people to
Right.
see them as grown-ups, I see your WhatsApp stories and your stories where you're in the gym, you're off in shirts, almost like I'm preparing to be the lover boy of the industry. Is that a conscious thing or it doesn't really matter?
To me, it doesn't really matter because I think with time, it's going to happen. It's inevitable. Like physically, I'm going to change. So even just my size will be too big for a certain type of character. So
Yeah.
I'm really just enjoying the process, enjoying the stages. I'm just enjoying my time, honestly. Yeah.
You are a young actor, but you've also been in the industry for a long time, And I want to ask you this because you're kind of caught in the middle, where there's a huge critique of young actors these
Right.
days about whether they don't take things seriously enough,
Right.
or they just get the roles because of the numbers on Instagram, or you're just a fine babe or a fine boy. That's why they gave you this role, versus what the older generation
Right.
likes to believe
Right.
about putting in the work, getting to certain time, and all of that. You're kind of both. Right.
Right.
Is that a fair assessment of your colleagues and people around your age? And coming from where you come from, have you seen that difference? Like, maybe we're not really doing as well as we should.
I mean, it's a bit of half and half. At the end of the day, there are certain older colleagues too who are guilty of some of the things that the younger guys get accused of as well. So I just think it just depends on you as a person and how serious you take your work.
Yeah.
If you're somebody who really cares about the time you get on set and you want to be professional, it doesn't really matter, your age. You're gonna have that same energy towards the game anyway. But for young actors, I will say, before now, there weren't really that many roles even for young actors. So all of us were really just trying to get by on vibes. Like you
Yeah.
can't even plan your month. You're just there staring at your phone like, I beg, ring now. Help me, I need this work. But I mean, a lot of my friends are very professional and we take our job very serious as well. Some of them even help to motivate me sometimes because sometimes it's hard, especially like, as you said, like where I'm at, sometimes it's like a very lonely place because some of the older guys don't get it and then some of the younger guys don't get it at the same time. But I mean, with the type of work that, if you've been watching Nollywood, anybody that's been watching Nollywood to see that the young guys are actually like coming to the table and we're ready to, to play at the big leagues. So, yeah.
You talked about roles not being readily available for everybody, and it almost feels like Nollywood is at a crossroads at the moment, right? We saw what happened with the two giant streaming platforms last
Right.
year. And then cinemas are still, I don't know if they are 100% on their feet. Yes, the
Yeah.
occasional movie would pop, but maybe for 2-3 weeks, and then, we're not then there's this YouTube wave,
Right.
which I'm not an actor, so I have no say in this,
Yeah.
but it just feels like, really? Is that really the answer to this? What are your thoughts on where things are at the moment? Like, are you comfortable? Do you worry about what the future looks like for Nollywood?
I mean, I'm not worried. I'm actually more excited to
Okay.
see where it will go because there's definitely potential. There's definitely a lot of opportunities. But for me, I think the question now is whether or not there's more people willing to collaborate. I think one of the issues that we have in Hollywood now is a lot of efforts are happening in small pockets, and it doesn't feel like the industry in its entirety is trying to scale up, which is why you have, would I say, not necessarily like a uniform take in terms of what platforms we're going to put our films on, how we're going to distribute. Because I do believe as an industry, we have to have ownership of our own distribution structure. Who better to get our stories out there than us? But then again, that's only going to happen if people are on the same page, if nobody's trying to get, the better edge over somebody else, and I'm really just trying to make sure the industry in itself scales up. Right now, we're in a bit of a limbo. But it'll be nice to see where we go. Either way, I feel like we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Nollywood is a very resilient industry. We've come from ground zero, so we'll figure it out.
Do you think the cinema culture can come back? Because it feels like an economic problem.
It is.
And it's even not just Nigeria, globally. I mean, the pandemic did its thing where people just got comfortable with sitting at home and watching whatever it is. Of course, there's the piracy with people just downloading things and streaming whatever. But Nigeria in particular has been hit hard in the last couple of years economically. In the past, when you could carry 500 naira, you watch a movie and you get free popcorn on Tuesdays. I remember. It was Tuesdays. Now, 25K, you and your babe is still like...
It's still shaky.
It's still not,
It's still shaky. You probably even got like a small popcorn. You didn't get the large. Or medium. It's crazy. But I think it really just goes to show where we're at as a country. I think the entertainment industry everywhere is really a reflection of the state of whatever country it's in. So until the average Nigerian can afford certain luxuries to relax and be entertained, cinema culture is going to be very hardly hit.
Yeah. My producer is just telling me that popcorn and drink is 9.5 at the cinema. So if you want to add small hot dog inside, there's no way.
There's no way. How do you want to do
And as a
this?
student, and those are typically the market, right? Young people.
Yeah.
Not everybody has 18,000, 20,000 naira to spare.
And that's just, again, that's minus transportation.
Yes.
That's minus lunch. You haven't done anything else. You just stepped out, gone to watch a movie. 30K has already gone for only 2 people.
Yeah.
So imagine like it's a group of like 4 or 5 people. You're looking at like 200,000 naira just to watch film.
So does that mean YouTube is here to stay for a while?
For a while, I would say. But I think another thing we need to do, even for YouTube as well, is we also need to scale that up as well. As long as the quality of projects that we put out are not necessarily a reflection of our best position, the industry in itself is still not going to be taken as serious.
Yeah.
So
speaking of serious, let's touch on your political life.
Yeah.
That came out of left field for a lot of people. We woke up one day, we saw this poster. He's the candidate for the Labour Party in Surulere, I believe.
Yes.
For House.
Yes.
And everybody was like, "Is this real? Is it not?" And what was that about? And what does that mean for the next cycle? Was it just a one-off thing you tried out?
No.
Or is this something that's going to become a part of your life?
It's definitely something that's a part of my life. It's definitely something that I believe in. It's something that I'm also very happy with the feedback I've been getting, in the sense that now a lot of my friends and I are having more politically conscious conversations when we're together, which wasn't really the case before I ran for office. And it also gives me an opportunity to take advantage of my platform and engage other young people and really get us talking about our own affairs. Because at the end of the day, whatever is going to happen to Nigeria is going to affect us directly.
Like cinema prices.
We're just starting our lives. So it's only right that, we start to learn the process, understand how it works, and really take part in, deciding how our own affairs are being handled.
But, there's a reason why entertainers like to stay quiet during these things, because going partisan sometimes affects the pockets and the bag. You never worried about that?
No.
Why not?
So for me, I just honestly believe that if it's important to you, just do it. I also like to live in the moment. I mean, I'd be happy to be here for a very long time, but nobody really knows how much time we really have. And I started thinking like that after I lost one of my best friends, Beast by Jay. I was a music producer, and he passed in 2021. And he literally passed the week after we had just discussed all the plans we were going to have for 2022.
Wow. Wow.
So I'm like, whatever plans I'm having long term, there's no guarantee I'm even going to be around for those plans. So whatever I can do in the here and the now, to be able to give back, to be able to have some sort of impact, it just makes sense to do and take advantage of the opportunities.
What's your relationship now with your senior colleague, Honorable Desmond Elliott?
So
Have
we
you
haven't
seen him since?
No. I mean, in passing, in passing, like we've been like maybe at opposite ends of the hall.
But no
type of
interaction.
thing. No interaction just yet. I mean, on my side, I'm cool. I'm good.
Did you ever hear word from him or?
No,
Nothing at all.
not just yet, at least. But you know, we've had on my very first ever show, Everyday People. He was on the show, so he's known me since I've been 6 years old.
Yeah.
So I would like to think that he's proud of me for really just trying to grow and be and live intentionally.
Yeah.
So yeah, but no interaction just yet.
All right. Interesting. Back to Nollywood now. What's your grand plan? Because I like I said, I've known you for quite a bit. You have your head screwed on tight. You kind of know what you want. The industry might still, not have seen the best of you. What do you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want to be seen as? I see sometimes these debates on Twitter, most especially about the lover boys of Nollywood. I see your name pop up once in a while. What do you want to be known for?
Is it crazy if I tell you I have no plan?
Okay. No, it's not.
Like, okay, I honestly just live in the moment and just try to make the best of whatever opportunity is in front of me. And I also understand that life comes in stages. I definitely do see myself, producing and directing my own content.
Do you feel like Nollywood has been fair to you?
I'm still here. So I would say yes. Again, the industry is only just taking shape. We're only just having a structure. There's not that many people who are still as active as I am that are coming from a child actor angle. So I would say Nollywood has been fair. As I said, the future is more exciting. Yeah. There's definitely more opportunities. I definitely do see more international collaborations for the industry. But I really also just want us to not necessarily focus or base our success based on international recognition. For me, like home front is more important. Just being grounded here, making sure that we're giving our audience here the best quality that they can get for the entertainment, I think should be the priority.
I asked that question because I've interacted with a few of your colleagues who would tell me, they know what they're capable of. And we've seen what they're capable of, but they never seem to get those opportunities because of whatever reasons.
Right.
Whoever the producers or distributors or the money people behind these movies decide. So on that level, do you feel like, you are seen enough?
So my case, I think, is a little different because, again, I'm coming from like a situation where I was on, for example, a show like The Johnsons for 13 years. So I basically grew up on that show. Yeah. So it's a little different in my situation. Yeah. It's a thing where a lot of people know me, but because they've only really seen me in like child actor capacity, it's hard for them sometimes to see me beyond that. Yeah. But it'll happen because I generally just believe like, it's time and chance. As long as I keep working hard, it just takes one job. Just being on the right job, and your life can literally just change.
You're a man of many parts, like I said. You're an actor. I see you in the
I'm working
gym.
on music as well, though.
You're working on music.
EP coming soon.
Because I see you doing some nightlife things.
Yeah, as well.
Promoting clubs. You're doing politics.
I do a lot, though. To be honest,
I do a lot. Is there any space for the women in your life? Are you?
I have a very understanding partner. My girlfriend is super, super understanding. It's not easy dating somebody like me.
That is the sound of hearts breaking across the country.
But she definitely is my support system. Even on the way here, we're having a conversation on the drive, and she's just being super, super encouraging and just lets me know that she's in my corner. So yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to, market to them. Are there any roles you want to take?
It depends. So for me, I just think as long as it's tasteful, I don't think everything needs to be explicitly shown. Like the audience is not stupid. You don't have to spoon feed them. Yeah. So certain things you can cut to black. They know they know what's ahead, that type of thing. So I don't think there's any role I wouldn't take. But then I don't think I would want to push too much on anything that's unnecessary. Yeah.
Awesome stuff, man. Looking forward to seeing more of you.
Thank you.
On our screens and the many parts of Olumide Oworu. Thanks a lot for being here
Thank
today.
you so much, man. I appreciate it.
I wish you all the very best.
Always good seeing you.
Same here. Like I always say, you can follow the conversation on social media. Please use the hashtag #RubyMinds when you send us a message. I'll see you next time.
I really wanna get with you. Don't just stand